Hello, hello, happy Tuesday. Oh, I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
More times than not, I
Now
will
I hear you.
jump onto everything without unmuting myself. I have to mute myself for all the clicking that happens prior to going live. It's crazy.
What's up, baby? Have a seat.
What's happening, man? How are you? Playing dad right now?
I am. I'm here with my little munchkin, as you can see. Oh, where's she at? She's somewhere around
Hey,
here.
little munchkin. Are we feeling okay today?
Yeah, she's just hanging
Oh,
out.
okay, good. Just
You
wanted to
say
know.
hi. Uh,
Hey.
no, that's not Uncle Chip.
I hope Uncle Chip is a cool dude.
Uncle Chip has been my best friend since 5 years old.
Oh,
So
nice.
yes, he's a cool dude.
Perfect, dude. Well, we're here. We're HealthDads. We're back. We are 3 days a week. We're jumping on here. We are putting our time out, just kind of talk about a few things. If anything, Profit, it taps my head, gets me being able to kind of wrap a few things up that I've kind of talked about or thought about kind of throughout the week and all
Right.
those things, and just kind of seeing where they kind of fall. And so we've been doing a few things. We've been talking kind of like state of current topics. As I try and adjust this screen here, current topics, current questions, challenges, anything that's kind of coming on with like clients, what we see online, all that kind of stuff. We have a few different games that we've been playing recently. I've really liked the restaurant thing. I've really liked the menu. The menu's
Right.
been fun for me.
Definitely. I've enjoyed that as well. I think that each session, I say session, each show that we have, we get a little bit deeper and deeper, and we kind of get away from some of the BS and get right into the nit and gritty. So yeah, I can appreciate definitely talking about different places and different restaurants. I thought that was a good addition.
Yeah, I think a huge help over here. Got Bar Locker showing up. Bar Locker, look at that. Look at that Bar Locker.
Oh, Bar
Hats
Locker.
happening. Thanks for checking in, Bar Locker. We love you. I always appreciate. We're live in a few places right now. Where are we? We're over on Facebook in two different spots. We're over on YouTube. We're here on Twitch, on X as well. Oh, I forgot one of the X accounts. That's good. We're perfect. We're doing what we got to do. Anyway, so what's happening in world of BroFit? Any clients, any questions that have come up? I have like two that I want to ask about. But anything that's kind of come up in your mind or any kind of clients or potential clients' minds?
Um, no, nothing crazy. I got one of my clients back. She had some facial surgery. She's kind of like your mid-50s Scottsdale mom who still wants to look good and go to Cancun and be able to party and look the part. And so she got some facial structure, some facial, I think a facelift or something done. And so I have not seen her for about 8 weeks. So we had our first training session, which went very, very well. In fact, I took her through the Flex and Fox workout because she says, "Hey, I really don't want to sweat, but I feel like I haven't been able to move and I want to lift my upper body." And I said, "Well, I've got a workout for you." And we took her through that, and she called me the next day, and she's like, "I feel like T-Rex." And I said, "Well, that's not necessarily the goal, but definitely got some damage done in a good way." So,
Nice
but
little usefulness right there.
yeah, but no, things are good. I know today's our last day of our step challenge, which is excellent. I was listening to kind of Dom's response this morning on VDads in terms of just, do you like it? Do you not like it? What are you taking from it? Are you missing it? All those feelings and emotions that are revolved around the steps. And I will be taking more steps throughout the day, just in
Yeah,
general. However, I
yeah,
will not be taking that amount of steps. I'm not going to be taking 15,000. It's just for me, my day, my lifestyle, my needs, it's too much. Um, and I can spend that time a little bit, I think, a little bit more efficiently towards what my goals are. But I do like it's very, very therapeutic in the morning and having my time and space and quietness. And also at nighttime, it's been helping either digesting some of the food late at night or just honestly falling asleep a little bit easier. Normally, I'll sit there and I have a difficulty falling asleep, but Like I've told you before, sometimes I'll take my magnesium and I'll realize at that point, oh shoot, I still got 3,000 steps or whatever it is. And I'll go walk around the neighborhood for 20, 30 minutes. And by the time I get back, I'm just ready to sink into bed and fall asleep. So I will definitely be taking some of those aspects and applying it on a daily basis. But um, I just don't think it's maintainable and or a necessity for me and my goals at this point. But it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I think talking about steps is always a great thing, and I've been really stressing it even more so with a lot of people that have either felt stagnant in some of their goals, or
Mm,
it's something where they feel as if the world is working against them. And by that, what I mean is like, having a lot of people that are, highly social, they're traveling around the country, they're doing a lot of business, they're going to work events, work dinners, right?
mm,
All these kind
mm,
of things. There is a lot of, and even some of the most, uh, I would say mentally secure people, very confident individuals, they do slip into the thought that, my lifestyle is working against me, or the
mm,
restaurant is working against me, or the city is working against me. And, it's people that I know take very, very high accountability of themselves. And so
mm,
the one thing that I know that I've observed and it's been really helpful is that, and I've said this a couple of times, and I really want to keep the same messages coming because I think it's necessary and helpful, is that what I do see, and this is completely observational, right? We definitely know that walking, like I think more than 8,000 steps a day is where we start to see the associations around chronic disease and all cause mortality really start to drop with most individuals.
mm,
And so, like hitting 8,000 is great. Hitting, the Japanese proverb of 10,000 a day is also a wonderful thing. But most of the time, I think when I'm seeing someone getting from up to 12 to 15,000 steps on average in a day, that's where I see most times the challenges that those individuals bring up. It starts to not so much negate, but it definitely starts to mediate the challenges that they end up having. And most of the time, I could probably say something along the lines of, if I have an individual that is very highly social, usually has, a more social weekend with some alcohol in there, they're going out for some work events, they're traveling for work. If they're getting anywhere less than 12,000 steps a day, they're probably going to be somebody that is having a challenge with their body composition goal. Now, I also work with a
okay.
lot of people though that, they have very aggressive body composition goals. And so,
Mm,
I think talking about the average individual, I think that hitting that 12 to 15 is going to definitely help. But I think that a lot of times for someone that is really trying to dial in their overall body comp, their body comp goals, nutrition is a big thing. Obviously, resistance training is obviously something too, but it's something here where if you're not getting that much movement in, you're likely going to have a hard time kind of finding the appropriate calorie balance, calorie deficit that's going to be
right.
necessary for their
That's
goals. So
right.
that's what I've complete observation. But it's been ringing true in so many cases. The other thing I know, hey, the other thing, you know what? I just got a hype horse pin for my youngest who loves horses.
Hi.
You can be
Hi.
you have to be quiet.
Okay.
Who am I
Can I
talking to?
ask? I have a question. I want to know, who is your favorite horse?
He's my favorite horse.
Yeah, it could be yours. I
I
was
have
also
you in
thinking
my
about your
I have
daughter's.
you in my I have you in my ear pods, so
Oh, oh, got it,
like
got it, got it.
I got you. Yeah, she can't hear what you're saying,
Oh,
but um
oh no, you're muffled. I don't know why you're muffled. Oh, I see
are
what's going on.
we back?
Yep, we're back. We're
Okay.
good.
Yeah, what was that biscuit? That name of that horse from the movie? Is that what we're talking about? Horses? You said horses. What's your favorite
Yeah,
horse?
yeah, favorite horse. Because Spirit is always my daughter's favorite
Oh,
horse, so it's always an easy
well,
one.
Spirit. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know the name of the horses. I haven't gotten that into it. She's only 2, so it's like, hey, look, there's nays. They're all nays. She just calls them nays. Hey.
That's good fun.
Come here, baby.
All
Let's go
right.
watch your show.
Brian, if you definitely have the bandwidth, and if you don't, that's okay too. Do you want to do a maybe we can try and figure out?
I'm here.
Okay.
My daughter just fell. She's cool. I'm listening.
A 30-minute. We'll try and get this done in 30 minutes here. Do you want to do a menu rundown? Do you want to do a bro fit move of the day, or do you think you want to do a spin the topic?
Let's start off with a spin the topic.
All right, let's see. Can I get this back up? Actually, where'd this go? Hold on, I can
But
find
yeah,
this.
we should be good on time.
You know what I've been loving? I've been loving, and I love it. A lot of the posture things recently for people that have been sitting a lot to kind of just be like, hey, let's just figure out how we can. See what's happening here. All right, we got. Oh, you know what? I have the one. So I'm at home right now, so these are going to be a lot of training ones actually. So that'll be fun, but we can talk about these for sure. So we'll pull these up. Let's grab this. We're gonna do share that screen. There we go. All right. How are we doing? All right. So if you remember, these are a lot of our training topics. So let's see what's going on with these training topics, and let's see what's going on. Let's take a spin. Oh, we don't want this. We don't want that.
You're gonna have to just tell me what it says because I can't read it. It's too small. I'm on my phone.
Let's see if we can even do this. Oh, now it's all running each other. That's good. Gotta get this out of the way. All right, let's check it out. What's up?
I wanted to bring this up real quick just because I thought it was very interesting. I know Courage did a show this morning on Whatnot and ended up doing like a workout on Whatnot. And I was just shocked and surprised of all the viewers that jumped in there just to kind of see what was going on. I don't know if that might be another outlet or something for us just to jump on board, and as we're doing this, go on Whatnot as well. And people might just be intrigued to jump on and come over and see what's going on. But I knew you did something like that. I thought it was kind of interesting. That was all. All right, what did it land on?
Yeah, I think it could be good. So we're on interval training, and I have a question with this. But what do we feel about interval training right now, bro? Do we think that interval training is definitely something that can have a for or against it right now?
I always will go back to the one question is what are my clients' goals? What are you trying to accomplish? For me personally, somebody who likes to be athletic, who wants to maximize on his time and effort, I basically want to do the least amount of effort and get the most amount of results. That's me. That's how my mind works. In fact, I'm very, very lazy. I just become very, very efficient so I can maximize on my laziness. So I like interval training just for the sheer fact of I talk about the repetitives. And what I mean by that is if I get Mr. or Mrs. Jones or even Tony, who's 22 years old and prime collegiate, some sort of shape of, some college sports.
Yeah.
If I'm working with these two individuals, longevity is still pretty much the name of the game. If he's explosive for the sport, I want him to be explosive from the first period, first quarter, first half, whatever, all the way to the very last second in the game. For Mrs. Jones, I'm looking for longevity in terms of long term and being able to control her body and have overall strength and or obtaining some muscle mass. So for me, the repeatables are so very important. What number can I do over and over and over again? It's one thing to be able to do 10 push-ups, and that's cool, or 20 push-ups. But can I, after a minute or two, do another set? And then after another minute or two, do another set? And then after another minute or two, do another set? And the whole point is that most people will fatigue. They'll drop off because their number if you and I were to jump off and max out on our push-ups, we're going to do X number of push-ups. If we wait a minute or two and we do X amount of push-ups, that number is going to drop significantly. And then on the third one, it's going to drop, and the fourth one, it's going to drop. So for me, in terms of training, I want to be able to apply or have a number that I can consistently do from the beginning of my workout all the way to the end of the workout. And if I can find that number, then I'm able to dictate my threshold. I know how to push it, how not to push it, where to push it, and whatnot. So to me, interval training is great because it allows me to understand the entire game or the entire workout in a whole. Perfect example, if I were to go ahead and run 1 mile and I did a 400-meter lap around a whole high school football track, right, or a football field, it's 4 laps around that. And I say, go. And the first lap, you run out as fast as you can. By the time you get to the second lap, you're smoked. You're exhausted. You're going to fatigue. It's going to take you a lot longer. And you're not going to be efficient towards the end. However, if I say, hey, I want you to jog and pace this thing out after the first lap, you'd still have energy probably. You'd still be able to maintain that pace. If not, you should be able to increase your pace because it was just a warm-up lap. So I love the intervals because it teaches us a lot about not only what we're capable of doing in a short period of time, but what I'm able to continuously do over and over and over and over again. For me in athletics, that was a huge deal, is I wanted to be able to repeat strong, athletic, explosive movements. And I wanted to be able to repeat that over and over and over and over and over without getting fatigued. And plus, most games are like that. Stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. So intervals correlate very, very much so into that. We did a lot of that with, basketball players. And when I used to train a lot of my basketball players, we do Tabatas all the time, which is a representation of time, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest. And we do a lot of workouts that were like that just because that was representative of what their basketball game was like. Sometimes even further, like we do 45 seconds on, 15-second rest, because that's how long the plays were going, or that's how long the rallies for volleyball were going, or football is even a lot less. So we were working more on their explosiveness and being able to do that. So I love interval training. I think it's fantastic. Even if we were to take my steps right now, and I've been averaging 15,000. If I were to take that and to go sprint 100 steps, walk 100 steps, sprint 100 steps, walk 100, or 100, 200, or whatever, just make up a number. I will get much more out of my workout than I would if I just consistently walk, if that makes sense.
I think it's more interesting too. I feel like a lot of times we can get bored with the workout. So something like that kind of thing it can force us to focus a little bit more, which I think is definitely good. Versus I think being in a position where, like, this is the whole thing, I think, with like training in particular, because I think that not enough people periodize their training, even if it's just someone that is, even if there's someone that is just, has like general health goals. I think it's definitely helpful to kind of go through periods of like more intense movement. And I think, something that is a little bit more focused on strength, but just to kind of change things up a little bit, I think is so important. I wanted to ask you, with the idea of interval training, I know that I've been doing this for a while for myself, so a little bit self-serving right now, but I've been basically focusing on what I, just because I like to brand things, but what I always kind of deem as like habit 24, which is basically 4 movements, 24 reps each, and any rep scheme, you just have to really finish it. And you know what? It was always something I was like, well, you know what? I'm not trying to be a trainer, and it's not something where I want to program for anybody in particular except for myself. But the one thing I always wanted to do was be able to, use it as some way to promote some sort of, motivation for people. And I think that it's the thing that has helped me out the most, which is just the 100%. Ability to say, hey, here's 4 movements, done. You don't have to do anything else. There's nothing else you have to do. And your job is you just have to do this rep 24 times. And so if you want to break it up into whatever, rep scheme you want, if you need to change your weight halfway through, change your weight halfway through. I feel like the biggest thing is that, whether we call it interval training or we call it strength training or we call it, performance, whatever you call it, I think, again, the average person, call it Mrs. Jones or Steve in accounting, I think that it's definitely something where Like the issue is more around people just stopping what they're doing. And so whatever it is, like if it's like someone doesn't connect with the idea of interval training, they don't like connect with the idea of strength training, or they don't connect with the idea of fat loss workouts, call it whatever you want to, I think that can turn people off. And I really hope that people can kind of find that one way that actually works for them. And so interval training, I think, is great, especially if you're bored with the strength side of things. And I think that strength training has its benefits. I think strength training, in terms of lower rates, lower reps, higher weights, I think is definitely something that can feel very meditative for me sometimes. So it's good. I mean, it has a purpose. So yeah, interval training is great.
Definitely.
All right. We can do one more topic here, or do you want to try a menu? Wait,
We
do I
can
have
do
a
a menu.
menu? Do I have that here? Hold on, let me see. I might not have that here.
I think ultimately when it comes down to it, and you and I have talked about this, and this is actually why one of the reasons I think doing a whatnot thing would be good for you and I, because there's so much talk, right? Everybody talks and talks and talks, just talks. And even like in our morning show with the V-dads and stuff, like, we talk and we talk. And there's times where Dom's like, hey, I think we're getting a little too emotional, or we just talk is what my point is. And now there are times where we apply these talks and we apply them throughout the day, and then we come back and we discuss those things. But I think the application of just doing, like, enough talking about it, just do it, right? Like I sat there and I think people were asking very great questions with Courage's stream this morning, and there were newer people that I hadn't noticed in our fitness streams and whatnot. And so I was hearing a lot of the same questions, and they're good questions, but to me, I kind of go like, what the fuck are you trying? What answer are you searching for? But nobody's gonna do it for you, right? I always go back to this, like, so what? Now what? Like, remember I texted you just, what was it, yesterday morning? I was like, holy shit, Gary V, go on the morning coffee thing. Like he's literally summarizing up what we're talking about and just applying the whole health and fitness aspect to other people's like lifestyle or whatever they're going on. That's like one girl got up. He's like, nobody fucking cares. Like no one cares. Like, so what? Cool. Like now what? Like what are you gonna do about it? Like for wrong, right, or indifferent, great. You got 6 kids. Awesome. You got a job. Awesome. You got a financial thing. Sweet. You like to sleep. Awesome. Like you're busy and you're stressed out. Fucking welcome to the world of everybody else. Like, so what? So like if you can't get your steps in, oh, I couldn't only get 6,000 in a day because I was busy. Well, fucking nobody cares. What happened was is that you didn't make it a priority for yourself, and it wasn't on the top of your list of things to do. Let's be real. Going to work was more important for you. Getting up in the morning and getting dressed or eating breakfast, or even not even breakfast, or eating a lunch or whatever it was more important to you. And that's okay. But don't go back and be like, oh, poor me, why me? Well, no, your decisions put you exactly where you're at, right? And so I think people
was this the younger girl you're talking about? You remember?
No, and I'm not talking about anybody specifically.
Oh, okay, got it.
Just in general, like I think just a lot of people are searching for answers. Like, well, again, what sets and reps, and do I do interval training and strength training? And I don't want to do the, I'm afraid to do this, or like nobody cares. Like you got to just figure out a way to get it done and move and apply it. Application is the biggest thing. Like, that's the one thing I do love about these steps things, is that it has taught me a lot about, fuck, I am consistent. When you put a goal in front of me, I can stay consistent. And it's not always easy, but it does teach me a lot of different things throughout this last 6 weeks has been difficult. It hasn't been easy. I mean, if you go look back on my average steps throughout the year, I'm averaging 4,500 steps maybe a day throughout the year up until we did this challenge. And since this challenge, I've done exactly 15,000 steps or more every single day. So I get it. I mean, I'm spending 2.5 hours every single day walking around, but I'm making it a priority. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. I'm waiting until I put the kids down and walking around the neighborhood at 9 p.m. whatever it is, you will figure out a way. Like shit, I walked yesterday to the grocery store because we needed some stuff for dinner. I forgot a couple cans of coconut milk, and I was like, well, shit, I'll just walk to the grocery store. That'll be like 2,000 steps there, maybe 2,000 steps back. Cool, we'll crush it out of the way.
I think the
And
most important thing is the idea. It's like not even the amount of steps, but did you set that time aside in the morning? Did you set that time aside in the evening? Are you
that's it.
because I think that's the overall system that people really need most of the time. And for anyone listening, I think that the most advantageous habit that you can build is not so much the overall volume of which you're doing things at the time that you set aside to
Yes,
do it. It's more
yes.
about making sure that you have that time, and then when you
Create that
have
habit.
more time within it, then you can do more. When you have more motivation, that's when you can do more within it, right? It's the same thing as a regular work day. Everyone makes the 9 to 5 work, but some days are going to feel better than others. You show up regardless because you're going to get
That's it.
fired. Otherwise, it's the same thing as parenting, right? Sometimes you're going to be able to get up off the couch and go
That's
run
it.
outside. Other days, you're going to probably put a movie on, right? But regardless, you're still parenting. You're getting up and you're
Mhm.
doing the thing that you have to do. I just wish that more people kind of had that mentality versus thinking, and that's why with the interval training, that was the thing that I'm like, well, is interval training something that is the most beneficial thing? And like, I think when you get down into it, we can obviously play with semantics here, but the overall thing is that I think that
Okay.
some people look at interval training as such a high intensity that it can really make it off-putting for individuals. And so we can do our best to make sure that we can make something actually work for them.
That's right.
But yeah, set the time aside, just like you set the time aside to meal prep. You set the time aside to eat your meals. I don't care what you eat in that time, as long as you have it set, at first, and then you can kind of get into the other things. But yeah, it's just
When
put that time aside. You've been doing a good job with it.
when you and I started our first VDads episode almost a year ago, I was doing the exact same thing as what that's why I love your 4x24 or your 20 habit 24 deal, is because the thing I did was almost identical to that. I just called it something else because somebody else had called it Diesel Dad. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool. I'll call it Diesel Dad. And it was the same thing. It was literally 2 to 4 exercises, complete 100 total repetitions. So you could literally do 2 exercises. You could do 4 exercises. It's very, very simple, very, very close. We're off by 4 reps here. And it was just do it all before 6 a.m. And you could pick anything. So I could pick PVC passovers. I could do downward dogs. I could do jumping jacks. I could do calf races. I could do on a full on barbell thrusters if I wanted to get crazy, or kettlebell swings, or bicep curls, or ring rows, or whatever it was. But if I listened to my body and I created that habit, and that's what I love about your habit 24, and the consistency of it is people have a hard time creating a habit. And even Gary was like, hey man, I've been off the ball for the last 8 months. My nutrition hasn't been as set and dialed in. My exercising hasn't been as dialed in as it has been for the last 8 years. And that is what it is. But I can't sit there and just dwell upon it. Like, I have a decision today when I go to the Jets game. Either I can sit there and I can look for sources of protein, right? Or I can completely overindulge and just go crazy. Like, those are my choices. I have choices along these ways. And so I love it's creating that habit. And the habit is the most important thing. That's why for a lot of people, the hardest and most difficult thing is just walking through the gym, getting in the door.
Oh, it's intimidating for some people.
It's
It's
super
intimidating.
intimidating. That's why
That's
just get there. Get there.
that's also why the Habit 24 thing. And again, I created it. Did I even create it? I just do it for myself, right? And I hope that maybe if it works for someone else, do it.
It
But the
works.
one thing I wanted to never do anymore was to walk into a gym and be intimidated by trying to get myself a rack and then be like rushed because other people have to get in there. I want to be able to walk into a gym and the only thing I have to grab are dumbbells. That's the only thing I wanted to do. I did not want, like, because I've been there so many times, where someone is either waiting for me or I'm waiting for them, or I'm nervous about, myself. For whatever reason in the gym, right? But for a lot of people, and even in the ADHD world, I interviewed a trainer that is out in Ireland, great dude, forgetting his name right now, but I interviewed him on my old podcast, and he specifically trains people with ADHD. And one thing in particular is there's something that's called RSD. Um, Rejection sensitivity disorder, which I don't know if I love the idea of calling something like that a disorder, but it's like, just you get nervous, right? It's something where like the feeling of rejection can be so overwhelming that it really just kind of stomps you and freezes you in your tracks. Okay, I get it, whatever. You end up having some sort of intimidating feeling and you want to get into a gym, but you can't because of those reasons. Well, if you can just find some space, a small footprint, and kind of pick up those dumbbells, then it can definitely work. And that's what I feel like that Habit 24 thing really does for me. But yeah, I would love to keep talking about that at some point and make it something that can kind of support other people, or at least kind of put it out there a little bit more. What was I just thinking about? I was just thinking, I was thinking about this story. You talked about the Jets game with Gary.
Right.
Jordan Syatt, if you're familiar with Jordan Syatt and Mike Vacanti.
Yep.
Mike Vacanti and Jordan Syatt, the two of them were Gary Vaynerchuk's trainers for a while. And Mike Vacanti started as the only trainer. And at some point, I think Gary started to travel a ton and then needed a second trainer to travel with him wherever he went. And it was just to keep him accountable to his movement and his training. And so Mike Vacanti had recommended Jordan. Jordan, saw this as an opportunity of a lifetime. He ended up getting the job, traveled. He knew that it was a lot. He did for 2 years or so. Right now, Jordan, got successful enough on his own to really break off. So he doesn't work with Gary Vee anymore. And now just Mike Vacanti is working with Gary again. I believe that's kind of where it's at. Jordan Syatt has his own podcast. Jordan Syatt also has a podcast with Mike Vacanti about training. So anyway, background all there. But one story that Jordan Syatt had shared one time was that when Gary Vaynerchuk was at believe it was a Jets game, it was when they first started working together. And it was very confusing for Jordan Syatt because he was like, I don't understand. We're working on nutrition. And Gary was like, I can't stop eating the beans. Now, this is a story that's out there, so I'm assuming it's okay to kind of talk about. But Gary basically, from an emotional standpoint, I think kept eating beans. And he ate a whole tray of like baked beans is basically like what the whole thing was about. And so, it was when he was trying to work on his nutrition, and Jordan had talked through like what he went through with Gary and how they worked through the emotional eating standpoint from it all. But, you mentioned before that Gary was somebody who said recently, he's like, I've been off my game. And why I'm bringing this up is it's just a fun story. Go check out Jordan Syatt's 2 podcasts, one with Mike Vacanti, one on his own. The Jordan Syatt podcast is another training one. I think it's specifically for people that kind of follow them and then go through their training program, or their trainers training program, whatever it is, business program. But what I'm getting at is the idea of being able to just continue doing even the least thing. And so when it's something where it's like, if I know, and I want all dads to get if I could wish an extra 2 to 3 years for all dads at the end of their life, right? How amazing would that be? You are going to live longer. And I don't want to overuse the term that's thrown out there all now that starts with an L. But I think I would love people to be able to have a few more years with their kids. And so one thing in particular that I know that I really kind of like stay strong with are 2 different studies that I've looked at. And like there's other studies that kind of go along with this. But one is the fireman study, which is looking at things like firemen who were able to do more than 40 push-ups were found to have a lower all-cause mortality and lower risk of most chronic diseases. And that was followed for, I forget how many years. It was a small sample size, but it was also a long-term study, which is really cool. And so if we can do enough push-ups, that one thing that is associated with longevity, let's make sure we do it. I just used the word. But the other thing that I love is focusing on the amount of vegetables and fruits that we end up eating. And usually 24 ounces is associated. 24 ounces a day is associated. It's 600 grams, I believe. 600 grams, 24 ounces of vegetable and fruit a day is associated with lower risk of all-cause mortality. No matter which fruit or vegetable you choose, beans, potatoes, could be frozen, could be fresh, all those kind of things. If we can end up getting 24 ounces a day, we can now extend somebody's life. And so that's where a lot of this 24 comes from, right? Because I know that if I do 2 sets of 24 push-ups, I'm pushing myself past that 40 push-ups a day. If If I do 24 ounces of vegetable and fruit, I'm now supporting that, lowering my risk of all-cause mortality. 24 ounces of protein a day, you're likely going to get at least above 100 grams of protein a day. And that's really a goal for me. I want to get 100 grams of protein into every single person in this world every single day, because if we can, we are going to reduce a lot of the issues that we have around blood sugar, and even some challenges with possibly binges. Let's go on and on. So 24 isn't out of nowhere. It's built in there. But if Gary could just do his push-ups, like even if it was like, I don't have to get in the gym, I don't have to get crazy, just let's do some push-ups. That's what I wish on people.
Well, that's why I love your thing, is because there's no excuses. Like, you have 5 minutes to do it. You have 10 minutes to do it. Like, there's just no and or for buts around it. Like, you're going to take a shower today, right? Yeah, cool. Knock out 50 mountain climbers before you do it. Like, just do it. Like, this, it sucks. It's not maybe what you want to do, and that's why you're not doing it. The other thing I hate hearing, and I kind of giggle sometimes, is when some of these other live streams coming up, or I'm listening to people's comments and stuff, and you're getting comments and feedback from people who are not healthy. Like, watch out where you're getting your information from, is where I get at, right? Like, my least favorite thing is going into a doctor's office or going to a hospital of some sort, and some extremely overweight nurse comes up to me and says that my blood work is healthy. And I'm like, well, like, what are your health standards? Like, sorry, I'm going way off on this topic right now.
No, you're all good.
I have derailed.
You have not derailed. I think that it's something where we're all looking for some motivation.
Just be cautious of where you're getting your information out there, because it's just
No, I think
that's all.
Here, why don't we do this for the last couple minutes here? Let's see if we can run this through. Let's do a little bit. I had to throw this together really, really quickly. But let's do a few places. Even if you're going fast casual, how can you make sure that you're going to support your overall health? We got Shake Shack on here. We got Kava, if you're familiar with that. We got BurgerFi. I'm not familiar with that, but apparently it comes up on a popular list of places. Five Guys, Chipotle, Panera, Subway, Panda Express. Some of these I never really go to, but it is just something of interest. Let's see where we land and see how we can get through this for some people. Okay, Panda Express. This is the one I was hoping we did not land on, because first of all, my first thought around Panda Express is that it's just large portion sizes. And that's the one thing that I think I have the hardest thing with.
Really?
So give me, I would say in two ways. I just have an issue with this. I can't say you're saying I have a hard.
I would say that it's calorically dense instead of a lot of food, because I could put a whole table full of food and calorically be pretty low and still be able to sit there and eat, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so here, how about we pull this up, because this is what I want.
The oils would be like the crazy thing. I'd be curious to see how much extra stuff that they put in there. But I know what I'm ordering. I know exactly what I'd be ordering.
You know exactly what you'd be ordering. I think, let's take a look as I try and get this up, because I think this is good value for people too.
I know my that's what I would eat, but it's not good for you. And then I think I know what I would eat if it was good for me. I haven't been there in like 5 years, so it's been a long time, but
can't see where how do I get back? Oh, that's what I wanted. Okay, cool. So this is what I'm going to look for. You tell me what you're going to look for. I'm first going to look for anything that's going to start me off with some protein, and then I'm going to look for anything that's going to give me some fiber after that. Regardless the calories at first, I'm just going to double check and see if we have those. And so it looks like, and I pulled up the nutrition info. It's not even the menu, but it's just the info, right? So I'm going to look for things. I just like, and it's not even an amount of protein, but I'm going to probably look for, I'm always going to look for at least like 30 to 50 grams of protein. 30 is on the low end, and that's just for me. It might, if you're a smaller person, you can do less than that. But if I'm looking at protein here, as it kind of tells me, I'm already seeing some of these over here. So I see 33 grams, I see 41 grams. I mean, some of these look pretty good. I mean, in terms of protein at least, these other ones are kind of small, and these are dishes, I guess, beef. I don't know what the difference is with some of these though. But I'm probably going to go for ones because I know the protein is going to make sure that it's going to help me with everything that's going on with myself and keep me full too. So as of right now, I'd probably zone in over here on like the grilled teriyaki chicken, grilled Asian chicken, teriyaki chicken, and the Asian chicken here. How do you feel about that?
I like how we're breaking this down right now. And let me explain. I like the fact that we're able to pull up the menu right now. And I almost suggest everybody doing this. Go to your favorite restaurants, pull up this menu right now as we're going through it, and start having these same conversations and or start breaking things down. Because when I go to a place, I don't sit there and go, hold on, guys, let me go out and get my nutritional facts out and like, let me figure this out right here and there. Right. And most 99% of the time, they don't have those nutritional facts set up for you in public or when you walk in or you go through the drive-through. So I love the fact that we're pulling.
Do you have this by you? I don't know if it's a national thing or if it's more of a New York City thing. I know that if there are, I think it's more than 25 locations, they need to, I think it's 25, maybe it's 20. So if they have those locations that you need, they have to post the nutrition information. Is that a national thing? I don't know. Okay.
No, that sounds like a New York thing.
Okay, got it. All right, yeah. Here. So I'm looking at the menu right now. Okay, so we have apple pie roll, which is like not at all fitting what I think would be served here. We have a la carte things. We have some drinks, appetizers, panda cup meal. Interesting, so you can always turn to that. I feel like if you're looking at portion sizes, you can always look there. We got panda bundles. Get a bowl plate with a drink. Okay, so you can get drinks there. I'm probably going to focus over here though, right? So I see, so the difference is bowl, plate, and bigger plate. Okay, so we have one side, one entree, one side, two entrees, and one side, three entrees. Interesting. Why are we going entrees? Why not sides? That's an interesting thing. Okay, got it. Where are you going to go first?
Again, depending on who the client is and what their goals are. Let's just say that for the purpose of the only person I think I'd be having eat bigger is somebody who's trying to gain weight or gain muscle mass and or literally trying to gain weight. So let's just eliminate that one for the sheer fact that majority of people are trying to just go there, minimize on their calories, and so I'd probably go with I'd personally just go with a bowl or a plate. Normally, I think it's a plate that I get just because that's what it comes in, they're to go little containers. But I would be focused on the plate. So it's your two entrees and a side.
Okay. Well, here, look. So if it's two entrees and a side, I'm assuming that these are the entrees, right? So we have honey sesame chicken breast. And then we have the beef here and seafood too. So it looks to me that we could, if we got the two entrees and then one side, just like we could easily, let's just say we get both of these, right? So we get beef, we get the Beijing beef and the black pepper Angus steak. Both of those together, we're now looking at 600, we're looking at basically 700 calories, right? So 700 calories.
Plus your rice or your noodles.
Exactly, right? We don't even have that side yet, right? So here's a side. Let's even look at here's super greens, right? So you can add another 100 on top of that. So it's really easy. I would say that you just have to be really careful, I think, with what's actually happening here. Because here's like potato chicken, low calorie. Here's orange. Like this is probably a popular one. I think most people, like I don't order it, but I know a lot of people do. But even if we did something like these two sides or these two, that's actually, you know what? To actually be able to buy a plate with two entrees and one side and have over 80 grams of protein, because you can get some protein on those. That's actually pretty cool. That's something that you could split maybe. And even like, if you're okay getting like not getting so crazy with money, you could do this and just get the teriyaki chicken and the Asian bowl, or the grilled Asian chicken and the teriyaki chicken. Just get those two things, or even this, right? You can get these two. And now that's something where we're under 600 calories, which is those, and then you can get the super greens. This is actually looking pretty good.
It's really not that bad, especially because if you're making the decisions, you're making the choices, and you're telling them what to put on your plate. So you don't have to get rice. You don't have to get those extra noodles. And I'm sure they do have a side of broccoli as well, so you can get some green vegetables in instead of having all the extra carbohydrate source. So I'm right there. I
But
like it.
Brian,
It
look at
is a
this.
high
This
source
is
of protein.
Yeah, but most people are probably going to quickly be like, chow mein, or they'll get the fried rice, right? They'll just
Oh,
throw it on there
100%.
because
It's
it's
going to
easy.
crush you.
And
It's going to
yeah,
crush you.
and so that already. So this is what I would tell people is you could probably skip the side if you were really staying strict with overall calories and wanted to stay pretty high in protein. I would get the 2 entree plate and then get the side, maybe just get the greens on the side, or do something else with the the rice or whatever else is going on. But actually, this turned out better than I thought it was going to. Now, if it was like a typical Chinese restaurant, I think I'd be totally cool with that. Japanese Chinese is easy. I was just thinking that this was going to be out of control. So, but plus, I think you have to be careful here, Brian, because I think I've seen a lot of times like they just like keep piling things on. So if they're not sticking close with these servings, then I think we could get in trouble, right? So,
And that's also, yeah,
okay,
you're right.
good.
It is based off of a serving size too, right? We don't know. It's not necessarily like every time their portion control comes out to these serving sizes. So it is a numbers game a little bit when you go to these things. So again,
Yeah.
this is just my personal thing. Anytime that I'm put in a position where I know I'm not going to be as successful, I try to use it as a stepping stool for the next time that I can make a good decision rather than the decision that I have to make right there and then and no other decision, and it's going to hinder me in the future. What I mean by that is it's okay to go ahead and eat a small little snack and not have to gorge yourself on a meal just because it's lunchtime. So if perfect example, if I'm in the car and I'm traveling from Phoenix to Los Angeles or San Diego, and we're on that 6-hour drive or whatnot, and we pull over, I still have the decision to go ahead and use that as a full meal time or as a snack time, right? If we stop off at the McDonald's that's halfway through, I can sit there and gorge myself, or I can sit there and have a bite or two to get the nutrients, minerals, and vitamins, and or some calories, some energy for me to get to the next point. But I don't have to, just because it's a bad decision or a decision you may not normally make doesn't mean that you have to go on. That's all I mean.
It's definitely a good point.
I think
Right.
sometimes, we say that when it comes to like drinking or partying on the weekends, or, oh, I had a cheat meal and, oh, well, I did so bad yesterday. I might as well just let it go. Or, oh, I just, I did bad this morning. Oh, okay, I'll start tomorrow. Well, there's just excuses, right? I always go look back at it and if it's important to you, you'll make it happen. You can always prioritize, you can always plan ahead. It may not be what you want to do, but don't later on then sit there and complain about why you haven't gotten to where you want to. Well, it's because you haven't set that time and priority aside, whether it's the nutrition aspect or if it's the movement aspect. And I know that you and I both know this very well, that they go hand in hand. And it does take time and it does take effort. So
100%. And yeah, just kind of show up. If you're not showing up, it's not going to happen. Hey, that was pretty good. I'm feeling
love it.
very, I feel like my cup is full, right? I really liked talking about one, we got to a little bit of the state of kind of the industry. So we got some step talk in there. Number two, I think we really were able to kind of get down to some kind of like training modality, which was really important, led by Brofa himself. And then I'm really happy. I was actually not wanting to talk Panda Express. I was very happy to break down that menu and find some really good examples that could actually work. I still think you got to be really careful about how much they give you, though. I think you have to really kind of be on top of them if you're watching them serve you. That's my personal experience.
And how they're cooking it too always gets me. That's just me. I'm getting away from the macros and looking more at the types of food and the quality of food that they're giving you. But it is what it is,
Yeah, I hear you. Quality definitely matters. It does. I'm about to make a video on grass-fed and finished beef versus grain-fed beef. What do we think? Is one getting better than the other one?
Absolutely.
But we're gonna just do a quick little counter argument on it because I think that it's a necessary one to bring up, and I think sometimes you get into the weeds on certain things. But I'd love to highlight the reasons maybe for or the reasons why it might not matter. So we'll talk about it. All right, Bri. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. This has been good. I've been loving seeing BroFit life instead of the studio
gym life.
workout life sometimes. Yeah, it's been good.
It gets a little bit more chaotic and complex in here. like last week was great because my wife was off Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesdays my little one's off at Bible study. But this week my wife is working Tuesday, Thursday, so we will have this little one with us on Thursday as well. But she's not too bad. She just likes to. She's very curious about everything. She's holding her rock right now with the bears. Hey, would you like to go look at some geckos? Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Oh, Thursday is going to be Comic-Con. We'll have to talk about it. We'll see what's going on.
Oh yeah. Keep me posted if we need to reschedule. That's awesome. Have a greatest time out there. That's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to everybody being able to regroup, reconnect, and I hope people are able to eat healthy while they're out there, get some movement in while they're out there. And I have a little bit of a FOMO that I won't be there, but one of these days I will be able to meet most and all of you in real life and to give you a big, big hug.
There you go. All right, guys, we will see you soon. And for now, take care. Bryce, stay on for a second if you can.
You got it.